Our next guest is on a mission to visit every National Park Service site in the U.S., more than 400 of them. At the same time, he's trying to make the outdoors more welcoming to LGBTQ people. We have occasionally checked in with Mikah Meyer throughout this quest, which actually began as a way to honor his father. Meyer is in Denver for the Outdoor Retailer Convention, which starts today, in fact. And hello again, Mikah.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here in balmy Denver compared to the rest of the U.S.
Yes, that's right. No sub-zero temperatures, quite like they've seen in the Midwest. I understand you've just arrived, though, from Guam. Your timing to visit the national park there in some ways could not have been worse. You booked the trip 10 months ago with no way of knowing there would be a government shutdown. How did it go in Guam?
It was so stressful. I boarded the plane not knowing if I was going to be able to visit the park or not, and this was a really expensive ticket and months of planning. And thank God I got there, and the Guam Tourism Bureau told me, we've worked it all out. We can't have a ranger give you a tour, but we've got a private tour guide who's going to, and you can access this land, and you can make this happen. So I was able to count it as site 389.
389 on your list. This is the War in the Pacific National Historic Park.
Yeah.
You have 29 sites still to visit. Tell me more about why you started this journey, about your dad.
Yeah, well, he passed away at age 58, and so he never got to retire and have the time to do those things that we all sort of assume we'll get to. And I noticed a lot of my peers seemed to think they were all guaranteed to live to 80. So I wanted to do something crazy at age 30, an age where we're supposed to have everything figured out, and do it as a way to hopefully inspire people to follow their crazy dreams now rather than later in case they don't live long enough to pursue them as well.
It's interesting. I've sometimes gotten advice from my own father to front load your life because you never know what your health will be later
Amen.
on.
Yep.
I'm curious if your father knew you were gay, if you were out to him before he died.
He didn't know. I didn't really come to accept it myself until 3 years after he passed. And so part of this journey, actually, I like to connect with his former pastoral interns and sort of ask them, did he ever talk about this? What do you think his opinion would be? And I haven't gotten the most clear answer like I would have hoped, but I've been able to glean a little bit of information.
He was a member of the clergy,
Yeah, he was a Lutheran minister.
You plan to finish this National Park Site tour on April 29th at 11 a.m., exactly 3 years to the day and time you started.
Yeah, that'll be the 14th anniversary of his passing. And the idea was to take a day that's been really horrible for over a decade and try to repurpose it into something triumphant. So I have invited anyone who wants to join me to be at the Washington Monument at 11 a.m., which is where I started. And as a community, we'll all put our hands on the monument and then walk together to the Lincoln Memorial, my final site. And that's because this is really a we moment. It's not an I moment. There's no way I'd be here today in studio with you was it not for thousands of supporters around the world.
I mentioned earlier that you're in Denver for the Outdoor Retailers Convention. When we spoke, I think about a year ago, you'd run into some obstacles trying to get sponsorships for your national parks mission. Talk just a little bit about that disappointment and how much you think that has to do with the fact that you're openly gay.
I think it's a huge part. When I started this journey in the history of the outdoors industry, there had never been a Pride Month ad. That has since changed in the past 3 years. But I even had one sponsor I was working with who let me go suddenly, and they put in writing that it was because I was doing too much LGBT outreach. So it's really been a journey, both this physical one to the parks and also this process of thinking I had to hide who I was for this journey to be successful. And sort of learning that actually it's because of sharing who I was that now this journey is where it is today and will complete.
Gosh, and since then, you were featured in an outdoor recreational ad campaign, I think in association with REI and an outreach program called Opt Outside.
Yes.
What's the
correct.
message behind this?
Well, the message behind Opt Outside, as you're probably familiar with, is the whole Black Friday idea of don't go shopping, go and enjoy nature. So it's a campaign they've been doing for years. One I would argue is maybe one of the most well-known in the United States, just encouraging people to get outdoors. And so I was able to work with them this year to help encourage people to do that. And for me, it was so meaningful that they involved an openly gay person because it was the first time in the history of the industry that anyone has done that.
Why is it important that there be a specific focus on the LGBTQ community when it comes to the outdoors? Presumably you see some obstacles there or maybe some historical reasons why that connection might not have been made.
Totally. I mean, I grew up in Nebraska and didn't meet an openly gay adult until I was 19 and left Nebraska. And so I think representation really matters. Seeing people like us, seeing someone who's outdoorsy and gay, I hadn't seen that before this journey started. And now I'm able to be that for kids around the country and world and people who write me and say, you're the first person I've seen like me.
Like me. What has the representation been before that? What,
There wasn't really anything. I mean, I did really comprehensive research before starting this journey, trying to find someone who I could approach their sponsors to work with me, and I found nothing.
So what do you think is next for you once you complete this years-long journey to see all the national park sites?
Well, I'm going to take a nice long hot shower and sleep in a room with air conditioning after living in a van for 3 years. No, I'm really excited. I'm going to keep doing stuff with REI. I'm going to be helping them expand and share their Outside with Pride collection, appearing at Prides with them, doing speaking events for them. So I'm really excited about that. Going to continue doing some more outdoors projects. But my next big project, which I actually haven't spoken about publicly till now,
okay,
I'm going to continue sort of this creative activism and breaking stereotypes about what it means to be gay in America. And beginning this fall, I will be setting out on my next epic road trip, which is following my home state, Nebraska Cornhuskers, to every single college football game this coming season as a way to show Americans that gay people are just like them and we love college football too. And it's a stereotype that we don't, but I'm a lifelong Huskers fan, so here we go.
Okay, so trying to break more stereotypes here. What do you imagine your message will be at outdoor retailers? And do you hope to change some minds while you're here?
Yeah, so I try to keep everything really positive and invite brands to come to this opportunity. We're seeing so much movement in pro sports right now where pretty much every team is having an LGBT night. And really just coming to brands, I made these little postcards that I describe the benefits of marketing to LGBT people, just talking about sort of the pink dollar that the rest of corporate America has been chasing, that action sports with Gus Kenworthy have been chasing, that Olympic sports with Adam Rippon has been chasing, and sort of inviting them to join the rest of corporate America and include the pink dollar in their marketing plans.
The pink dollar.
Yeah.
Adam, the figure skater, Gus, the skier. Thank you for being with us, and we appreciate your sharing your journey with us. What's the next location, by the way?
So the remaining 29 sites, 28 of them are all within a 2-hour radius of D.C.
Okay.
There was a new one added in November that's in Kentucky, so I'm flying there in March. But otherwise, April 29th, 2019, come join me at the Washington Monument at 11 a.m.
Barring a shutdown of some
Yes,
sort.
let's hope the government stays open, please.
Mikah, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Mikah Meyer joining us to talk about LGBTQ inclusion in the outdoors.